there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 113. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Today, we're going to be talking about Fortnite, the Activision Microsoft deal, Overwatch 2 PVE, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and more. So first, let's head into our recent activities. I'll let Damian go first because he's got Zelda and Fortnite to discuss.
I do. So yeah, I've basically only been playing like Zelda the last 2 weeks because it's really big. And yeah, the game is really good. I think a lot of people were worried that it was just going to be too much like Breath of the Wild, like it's too much of the same. And I really don't think so. Like I think the new additions like Ultra Hand and Fuse and Ascend, like all of Link's new abilities feel really game changing, where I'm not even playing the game the same way I did with Breath of the Wild. Like a lot of things it did in that game, I'm just not doing in this one because I could just make a stupid helicopter or something. It's actually crazy how versatile Ultra Hand is and how many unique things it could do with it and just how much it changes the game. Like just those mechanics alone, I think would have been like fine. But they obviously didn't just do that. They have, all of the surface map is the same map from Breath of the Wild, but it basically doesn't feel the same. I mean, it's been 5 years since I played Breath of the Wild, so I can't really tell you like what each fucking segment of the map looked like. But just playing through it myself is like, there's a bunch of new cave systems. Some of the areas are like, changed over, the past few years in, game wise or whatever. So yeah, like the surface map feels totally different from like Breath of the Wild. Like the game just feels a lot more dense as well, because I feel like the problem was Breath of the Wild's open world was it was really like fun to run around in and stuff, but it wasn't like, it was just very empty. Like, you just kind of go around doing your stuff or whatever. Like, yeah, there's Korok seeds and stuff to find and shrines, but like I don't know, it felt like pretty like empty most of the time. This game is both like open and very dense. Like there's a bunch of cave systems to go through, like more things to find. Obviously there's a lot more shrines in this game, more Korok seeds. So yeah, I definitely feel like the open world itself, it just feels a lot more fun to explore in. And I really loved Breath of the Wild, by the way. Like I'm not like a hater of Breath of the Wild. I love Breath of the Wild. So they just made that game but better. And then there's not really spoilers anymore because the game's been out for 2 weeks and you probably heard about it. But yes, there's a whole like underground that's literally the same size as the surface map. So it's fucking huge. And it's insane. There's a bunch of cool stuff to find down there. Like a lot of the, it's not really that important story wise. Like there's some like dungeons in there that you have to go to. And there's like a big side quest down there as well. But like if you just kind of want to ignore it, you can. Because the game is a lot harder down there. Like enemies, when they hit you, you like lose a heart, like for as long as you're down there. Like you gotta go back up to the surface or like have some like you gotta find like these light roots down there to like recover your hearts and stuff. So the game definitely feels a lot more punishing down there. Honestly, the game itself was like a lot harder than Breath of the Wild was, which is kind of nice. Now I don't feel it because I have like a bunch of good gear or whatever. But yeah, the underground is a really great addition. It's all like dark and shit. You have to like light up your way in there. It feels a lot more like a dungeon crawler and stuff. And it's a really cool, different way to play that game, since Breath of the Wild is all about, or just this game in general as well, is about like seeing what's over there and just running to it. And the underground, you can't see shit. So you kind of just got to make your way like piece by piece. And I think that's a really cool sort of, what's that word? Just dynamic to have down there. And then lastly, you have the sky as well. And honestly, I thought the sky would be a lot bigger than it is because that was the thing they were like advertising the most in the trailers. But the sky is like a lot smaller than I thought it was. Like there's obviously a lot of land up there, but like when you look in your map, it's definitely like not as big as the surface or the underground. But the things you do up there are still cool. Like there's mostly like puzzles and stuff, and again more shrines and all that great stuff. So yeah, the sky is cool. I like the aesthetics on it, but it definitely feels not as important as I thought it was going to be. So yeah. And the last thing are like the actual dungeons. I've done 3 of them. I don't know how many there actually are in this game, but they are a lot better than Divine Beasts. Like Divine Beasts were like whatever. Like they were like 5. When people say they felt like 5 shrines stuck together, yeah, it really did felt like that. The aesthetics all look the same. Like yeah, they were like different animals or whatever. But like it really didn't matter because like the interior of the Divine Beast just looked the same, and the boss fights were all like Ganon Blight, whatever, like some different element. And it was kind of boring. The dungeons are a lot better in this game. Like they're still not as good as traditional Zelda dungeons. Like I think that's pretty fair to say. Yeah. But I think the theming, The boss fights, like all of them feel so much more unique now. I don't want to say too much about them because I know like, the game's still new. But yeah, I definitely like the dungeons a lot more. They're still like pretty short and like pretty easy, like compared to the older Zelda dungeons. But yeah, they are way better than Divine Beast. I've been liking them a lot more. Side quests as well. I think side quests has been a lot better as well. In Breath of the Wild, a lot of them were just like, pretty basic stuff to get more items or whatever. This one, I feel like the dialogue and like the actual like stories you're doing with them they just feel a lot more engaging, which is nice because I thought the side quests in Breath of the Wild kind of sucked. So I'm kind of glad that the storylines in this are a lot better. And as for the story itself, I've been mostly just exploring around and doing stuff, but it does seem to be a bit better than Breath of the Wild as well. Breath of the Wild, like everything was in the past, and that's still kind of true in this game. Like you're still collecting memories and stuff, so the story doesn't feel too urgent. But I find the plot to be a little more engaging than it did in Breath of the Wild. But still not like obviously the strongest point because it's still a Zelda game. It's more focused on just exploring and all that stuff. But yeah, overall it's basically like a straight improvement from Breath of the Wild, and it's actually insane how they can make like a 10 out of 10 game into like an 11 out of 10. Like I've been loving this game. It's actually crazy how much they improved Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. So, like, I don't know, like I've seen some people that didn't like Breath of the Wild and are loving Tears of the Kingdom. So it seems to be like, the case there. So like maybe if you didn't like Breath of the Wild, give this game a shot. It's also cool because the game is as long as you want it to be. Like you could play it for like 100 hours, but it doesn't really have to be that length. You could just explore until you're bored, do the dungeons, and like beat the game. So I think that's a really cool structure this game and Breath of the Wild had. So yeah, the game is fantastic. It's going to be hard for any other game to be Game of the Year, even though Spider-Man 2 and Final Fantasy 16 are coming out, and those are probably going to be strong contenders for me anyway. This game is just like, damn, I don't know how they did this shit. Like, this is insane. Especially, like, it's only like 16 gigabytes on the Switch. Like, I don't know how they fit all of this into like one tiny cartridge. But yeah, the game is fantastic. Like, it definitely deserved all the good reviews it got. And yeah, I'm excited to beat it and talk more about it. So yeah, it's really good. And then next I got Fortnite. So yeah, obviously still playing some Fortnite. They introduced rank mode. I've been playing some of that. It's pretty fun. I mean, it's still just Fortnite with rank. You get your rank up now. I still don't take it that seriously, but it's nice to play against players that are not like totally brain dead now. Like it is like, people are definitely like sweating a lot harder now, so the fights feel a lot more fun. I'm not even like great at Fortnite. Let me just preface that. Like I'm not like a pro, but I do win. Occasionally. Like I don't. I like every few games I do win a few times. Yeah. So I think rank mode is a fun way to just get your ranks up. Get a little more competitiveness in there. I think it's a fun time. The way to do rank is kind of cool. Like surviving and winning is obviously going to get you points, but also getting kills is a big part of it as well. And getting kills later in the match gives you more points, so it kind of rewards you for getting to some firefights and not playing like a total bitch, which is what I usually do. So it's kind of a cool way to encourage you to actually be aggressive. So I think that's pretty cool. Do you have anything to say about
yeah,
Fortnite
I mean,
ranked?
They introduced obviously the Spider-Verse skins, which have been hyped up
so
for a while.
Yeah.
And if you did the missions, you got pretty much $10 saved on that bundle, which I didn't do.
Yeah.
I
didn't do that either.
I didn't do those missions, and I was like, fuck, that's $10 kind of, whatever. I'm gonna just buy it anyways.
I just bought it anyway. Yeah.
But they reintroduced the web slingers, which was pretty cool. I think that is another way to get around the map as well, especially because they disabled the katana.
Lightsabers.
Yeah.
And katana, yeah.
So now it's just the Attack on Titan and the web shooters, which I still like the Attack on Titan ODM gear because you just fly around and then you instantly
go very fast ODM gear.
And then you also just do 70 damage instantly if you hit it, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, like that's pretty good. But for ranked mode, I mean, I'm a pretty competitive gamer. I'll be honest. I get pretty fucking heated when I play competitive games, especially Overwatch for some reason. Like Overwatch is the one that I hate the most, but that's the one I get the most like angry at. But when it comes to Fortnite, like I understand that it's a battle royale, so like there's gonna be like some luck and some randomness to it, and also some people are gonna play really bitchy, and they're gonna wait for you to show, and then they're gonna kill you, whatever. But
guilty as charged.
When it comes to ranked, obviously, like you said, like it is a lot more competitive, and you see a lot more sweats come out because when me and my girlfriend play, Emma, we literally land in like bumfuck nowhere, and then like halfway like through the match, just like half the lobby's gone. Like maybe like the first like few minutes actually, because people like to land in hotspots and like fight people, and I'm just like, it's not gonna rank you up. You're literally just gonna lose elo instantly for no reason. So but I think we have won a ranked game. I don't think so actually, but we are ranking up slowly. I'm gold, she's silver. We're trying to just play for fun still, but at the same time, like you said, it is a lot more fun when you win fights now, because you know that the other person is trying really fucking hard to kill you. Otherwise, with the like unrated way, it's just like a bunch of bots and some kids or whatever doing their own thing. So but yeah, Fortnite is so fun. I am guilty of being over level 100, not buying any fucking levels or anything like that. It is honestly crazy how much Fortnite I am playing nowadays compared to like years and years ago, just because of Zero Build. Like Zero Build is so much fun, and
it definitely saved the game for me.
Yeah, and I think that they knew that people were getting bored of Fortnite, so they're like, "Hey, fuck it, we'll do ranked." Because I know that when Fortnite first came out, people were asking for that for a while, and then they did like those cash cups every now and then, which were like obviously like ranked, but at the same time, it's like really fucking serious because people are trying to win actual money. So I'm glad that they have like this sort of in between there with like this ranked mode. But yeah, Fortnite's so fun. I've been playing a little bit of Sonic Frontiers just because I had to refresh my mind on the game as I did my review for it, because I've been busy with school for the past, I think 6 months was the last time I did a review. So, I've literally been like out of the game for a while. So I was like, all right, I need to like replay a little bit of Sonic Frontiers. And that's when I discovered that there's like no post-game feature like whatsoever. Like I'm literally locked to that final island, and I'm like, that's bullshit. Like that's such like a huge like bad thing to have. So I started a new file, but like I didn't save it or whatever, because I was just like, whatever. I just want to like see how like the game starts again and all of this other stuff. And I realized that I wasn't playing on the 60 FPS mode. I was like, oh fuck.
Oh, you weren't?
No, I was like, oh shit, I'm playing on 30 FPS. Like this whole time I was like, I'm playing on 30 FPS. All right, I guess my review is also going to be in 30 FPS because I'm editing on Premiere now, which Premiere is so much smoother. I don't know why I was using Camtasia for all these fucking years. It's just that it's just that I didn't want to learn Premiere, but because of school, I've been forced to learn it and sort of mess with it and things like that. So now that I am done with school and I know how Premiere works for like my stuff anyways, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I can actually use this program efficiently and actually make reviews that look good, and also I can edit them without the program crashing every 5 minutes, because that's what happened with my Last of Us review. I wish I knew Adobe back then, because it would have made that review in particular a lot easier. So I cannot wait to continue making more videos and things like that. But yeah, Sonic Frontiers is still good. I have a full review that should be out later today. If not, it's already out. And then I watched Hunger Games. I watched the first one because my girlfriend was like, you need to watch Hunger Games. Because honestly, all I know about Hunger Games is that people fight and they kill each other. And like, I think that...
Wait, you never watched Hunger Games?
Fuck no. I was like...
Really? That's crazy.
No.
Not even when it came out?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was like, I know nothing about Hunger Games other than Jennifer Lawrence is where she like got like her big break and like people kill each other and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's about it. So when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, okay. So like, this is why people really liked it back then, because I could see why. Because like when that like first scene of like everyone like gets into it and they all start killing each other, I'm like, I could see why people like this shit as like a PG-13 kind of thing. I could see why people like it. And then you got like the romance going on and all of this other stuff. So it's a fun movie, I will say. I think that
it's fun.
It's a fun movie for what it is. You get to see like all of these different characters, sort of interact with each other and sort of how it all begins, if you will. So I'm not sure how I'll like the rest of the movies, but we'll see, because
I forgot where it fell off for me. I think it was 3. I don't know. I can't remember, because I was really into it, and then like I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah, so. I know that the last movie was like a part 2 kind of thing, because
it was probably that.
Because during that time they were doing all of those like part 2 whatever because of Harry Potter's success with it. So, but yeah, Hunger Games, it is what it is. For me anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I remember liking it a lot when it first came out, because I saw it in theaters and stuff, but it's been like so long. I was like, I don't know what I'm watching, because I know that this shit is like really old, and this is where a lot of people like got their start. So it was kind of interesting. It sort of reminds me when I was watching like the Harry Potter movies like years and years ago. Like it's young adult novel movie
so
deal. Same sort of thing.
moving on from there, we're going to get into the general news within gaming and entertainment. So first is the big thing. The UK Commission clears the Activision Microsoft deal. So last time we talked about it, it was the CMA of the UK that blocked it. So the fact that the Commission of Europe, I keep saying the fucking UK, my bad. The Europe, because I got corrected that on Twitter, and I was like, oh fuck, I messed up. So yeah, it is the EU commissions that has approved the Activision Microsoft deal, and then it was the UK CMA that sort of blocked it all. So it is kind of interesting to see how certain sides are playing out in this deal, because it's kind of like, you know, it's one of the biggest gaming buyouts of like all time, just because when it was announced, it was like so huge and so out of nowhere in a way. So I think that now that, you know, certain things are happening, we'll see exactly how it all plays out, because I'm still not exactly sure on how this deal is 100% going to fully go through, whether it will or won't.
Yeah, I mean, it has to go through so much stuff, like, and you know, like every time it gets through a new thing, people are like, oh, it's gonna happen now. But I don't know. I still feel like the merger is like really huge, and like I feel like someone's probably just gonna be like, nah, this can't happen. And you know, like I'm surprised it hasn't been stopped sooner, to be honest. Like I still don't think it's gonna give them like a massive edge. Like I like Call of Duty sort of like the biggest point. Like a lot of these you know, they've been saying like Call of Duty is just too big of an IP to like give to one company. So I don't, maybe they'll find a way to like really split it. I mean, they've already been talking about like Call of Duty being like a multi-platform thing regardless of what happens. But yeah, it's just interesting to see like how, like it's actually passing through a lot of these things where I'm like, I would have expected it to stop here at this point, because everyone was saying how harsh the EU UK ones are. So I'm surprised that it managed to get through one of them. You know?
Yeah, it is a little strange and a little weird, because, you know, Europe and the UK, some people think that they're the same, like me, because I'm a fucking idiot. So, you know, to see like one of them,
Brexit, dude.
one of them approve it, and then the other one would be like, nah, we're blocking it. So yeah, I mean, obviously Microsoft is you know, not in the best of shape within the gaming space, so they need they need a W somewhere, and I'm not sure if this is one of them. I'm not sure if this is the one that they need, just because, you know, Activision Blizzard has a bunch of baggage attached to them, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, you know, we'll just have to see where else this deal takes.
Yeah, it's just been pretty interesting to see like how this has been progressing. I mean, they bought them like, well, they didn't buy them, but they made the proposal to buy them like I feel like more than a year ago at this point. Like, it's been a while. So you know, I didn't know, like, you know, we're not educated on like business acquisitions or anything. So like, I didn't know this would be such a big deal. Like, obviously I knew it was going to be a big deal because it was a ginormous like buyout, but I didn't know it had to go through so many legal checks and stuff, which is good, I guess. I mean, that's the government doing its job. So not to have things be monopolies and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how, you know, Microsoft could like deal with this. And you know, it kind of just sucks for them because they've been so stagnant like over the past few years, and they can't really move forward or anything. Like, all they have is their games being made right now, but a lot of them we still don't know anything about. Like, you know, we always keep saying, like, I sound like a broken record here, but you know, there's so many games that, you know, like Starfield is coming out, but then after that we don't really know about anything else. Like Fable, like they announced, but that ain't coming out. Freaking not Outer Wilds. The other one, the other space one, that one's also not coming out for a while. Like, yeah, they just have a lot of games like in limbo. They have to deal with this acquisition, which is in limbo. They just have so many things that are just not going their way. So hopefully they could get a dub some way, either through this deal or through something else. But yeah, they ain't having a good time right now.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the fact that the EU Commission straight up said that, yeah, you know, like this wouldn't harm competition and everything like that, and that they have no reason to sort of stop distributing their games to PlayStation, and even if they were, it says in the article, this would not significantly harm competition in the consoles market, which I think is a little ignorant in some regards, because I feel like when it comes to Call of Duty especially, it's like when they're on console, it's like either PlayStation or Xbox, pretty much. And, you know, no one talks about Switch because it's either not on there or it's really fucking bad. And those are like the two big hitters for that franchise in particular for consoles. And for them to not have it on PlayStation in the future, potentially, because they would have that power if they do get this acquisition, it can be kind of scary. So, do I think that this deal should still go through? I think that there still needs to be a lot done, a lot of things that need to be in place to make sure that they don't just outright stop putting certain games on other consoles, because I think that Activision Blizzard has a lot of huge IPs. Call of Duty is one of them. Overwatch is another, that need to have a realm within both console spaces for competition to be prevalent.
Yeah, it's just interesting when we think about all these exclusives and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I always feel like true console exclusives are always going to be like I feel like Microsoft should have just done that from the start. Mm-hmm. But it just didn't think about that far. Because again, all they really have is Halo and Gears, and those sort of like aren't really as big anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and like how these mergers go, and if Call of Duty is just gonna be multi-platform or what. But yeah, it basically just boils down to Call of Duty. All right. So I guess with more Activision Blizzard stuff. This one sucked. So Overwatch 2 PVE has basically been canceled. So when I say this, they don't really mean the story missions. Story missions are still happening. And what that means is, so there was like sort of two modes to this PvE mode. There was the story missions, which are like these big set piece things, like you have like the story and cutscenes and stuff, and that's cool. But there's no real replayability or whatever. It's you just kind of do it once and that's it. If you played Overwatch before, they're like the archive missions, but sort of just bigger scale, where it's like, it's sort of that same deal. What they did kill off was the hero mode, which was basically the actual PvE mode. This is where, your heroes would level up, you would get skill trees, loot and shit, like actual progression, mm-hmm. everything you would need for like an actual like looter shooter type deal, right? So all of that has been canceled. And the game director basically just said that, when they were doing the scope of this game, they realized that it was just too big to be like developed along with the PvP seasons. So they decided to axe it and basically just said like, we're sorry. So this sucks for a lot of reasons. One, it's actually kind of amazing how they didn't see the writing on the walls for this being canceled when they released Overwatch 2. Like you would think when they were making the seasons, because we're only on season 4, mm-hmm. like what changed in a year to be like, okay, we can't do this anymore. Like I feel like they probably should have known like when they announced Overwatch 2, well not announced it, but like when they released it earlier last year, to be like, okay, this PvE mode is not going to happen, because I just don't know how you could just start making the PvP seasons and not realize that. Mm-hmm. But apparently they realized later. It's like, okay, we can't do this, and they basically just canceled it. And that basically makes Overwatch 2's existence like feel like not worth it. Like, yeah, I feel like there was no reason to like cancel Overwatch 1, like to just pull that game offline, because there's still a lot of people that prefer Overwatch 1's 6v6 and the whole like 2 tank metas and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of PvP players aren't happy because like, why, okay, so Overwatch 2 just didn't have to happen, and obviously PvE players that were waiting for the PvE are mad because it's not happening anymore. This was like the main reason why I gave a shit about Overwatch 2. I was like, I like these characters. I think these are some cool characters. I think you can make a cool story mode with some cool PvE missions. I think mm-hmm. these characters look like they could do more, story-wise and gameplay-wise. Like a lot of things they showed in the 2019 BlizzCon, showing like all the cool different skill trees you could get. Like Tracer could throw multiple pulse bombs, and like Mei could, like when she turns into an icicle, she like freezes everything around her. I'm like, wow, that looks cool. That'd be cool to play that. But it looks like that just isn't happening anymore. Yeah. And these story missions are basically just like bigger archive missions, which everyone was memeing about what was gonna happen, and then it ended up happening. So yeah, basically this sucks a lot. And I that really is like the last nail, I think, for Overwatch 2 for me. I just don't care about this game anymore, because this is what I was really excited for. Like, yeah, the PvP stuff is whatever. Like, I get really mad playing it too, because it's like whatever. But I was like, it's gonna be worth it because PvE mode is gonna be kind of cool, right? And now that's killed. I just don't care about this game anymore. Like, it's actually insane how much it just killed any interest I had in this game anymore. I just don't care. Yeah.
When I played Overwatch 1, it was only for like when it first came out, for like the first month or so. Just because, that was like the newest like 6v6, big multiplayer game. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is going to be pretty cool. It's fucking from Blizzard, you know, like it's got to be somewhat good, right, kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, I had my fun with it, and then Overwatch 2 came out, and my girlfriend wanted to play it, so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's see what the new stuff they got going on here. Now it's 5v5, and you know they got a couple new heroes. I was like, oh, okay, like this is fun. And then every single night I fucking lose my mind playing ranked because this shit is so unbearably bad at times. I'll be honest, last night I did have a fun game where I was like bantering with like the other team. I said Bucko, and then they like spiraled out of control into like us bantering at each other with like old time slang. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, like Overwatch 2 definitely feels like a anogamy. I don't know if that's the right word, but it feels like it doesn't really have a place in the gaming space, especially since because they literally cannibalize Overwatch 1 with like no updates for like a year or two, right? With like nothing new, and like they literally like fucked over their entire like player base who were still playing the game every fucking day, not caring. They were like, we still like this game, we still want to play Overwatch 1, this 6v6, you know, 2 tank meta, whatever, and they did nothing with it. And then Overwatch 2 comes out, and it's like, all right, we took a player out, we added some new heroes, and we have this cool PVE stuff going on here that will come out soon. All right, never mind. That shit's scrapped. And it's like, okay, now why would people care to play anymore? I mean, like, obviously, Activision Blizzard already has been in like a rough spot, and I'm sure that all of the stuff going on behind the scenes affected Overwatch 2's development. I'm sure it did. But at the same time, it's like, you promised this thing, you got fans excited for it, you literally cannibalized one of your previous games to do this, and now we're in a spot where why does Overwatch 2 even exist? Which I think a lot of people have really questioned. And then even for myself, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm playing Overwatch 2 still, but at the same time, it's like, kind of feels like Overwatch 1. Like, it you know, as a person that obviously doesn't know a lot about Overwatch and didn't play a lot of it when it was released, you know, I can tell that like not a lot has really changed when I look at like videos and things like that.
It's just a big update. Like, yeah, it's actually insane how it wasn't even just promised PVE. This was the whole reason Overwatch 2 existed. Like, this was the reason why Overwatch 1 didn't get any updates for like a year and a half. It was the reason why this game was made in the first place. And just to cancel that core principle of why this game was even made is like insane to me. So basically the only reason, like the only thing this game brought to the table for Overwatch was like 5 new heroes now and like a battle pass, and like that's it. Like, it's actually like insane to me, like how you just canceled the core reason why the sequel existed in the first place. Like it's like actually like insane.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy to be a Activision Blizzard fan, Overwatch fan, whatever, you know, because it's just like it's just like you were so excited for this thing that was announced in 2019, and then you know everything happened. All right, now we're here. Oh shit, it's not happening anymore. Well, shit.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter, I mean, people that didn't play Overwatch were like, "What do you mean they're canceling the thing that made the sequel a thing?"
Yeah,
like it's insane. And I really don't see there's any turning back to it either. Like, they can't just be like, we're going to reinstate it or whatever. Like, we're just going to get these story mode missions. I bet they'll be fun for a playthrough, but they're not going to have any replayability. So it's just kind of like dead content at that point. Like, the whole point of the PvE mode was to like make sure that people were actually like playing the PvE. But now it's like, oh, you do your mission, you're kind of out, and like, oh, that was a cool experience, and then you leave. So I'll probably still check those out because why not? But like for the most part, I'm basically just kind of over it. I'm over Overwatch. So there you go. But yeah, it definitely sucks, and it that really, you know why? I felt like I got like swindled, bro. Like, I feel like why I got tricked into playing this fucking game. I didn't even pay for it, like for Overwatch 2 because it's free, and I felt like I got fucking tricked. So I think that was the big reason. Usually I'm pretty good at my bullshit detector with video games, but they got me, man. they really got me.
Like, so yeah, that sucked. All right, guys, we're working on it. We swear we're working on it. And then they're like, all right, well, this shit ain't working. So now
I'm like, what you guys been doing for like 3 years?
Crying.
Yeah, making a battle pass.
All right. So next bit of news we got here is the FNAF movie trailer, Five Nights at Freddy's. And yeah, I mean, as a person who has never played any of these games, I've watched a couple of the game theory videos when he was first doing like the FNAF lore and whatnot, but I haven't watched any of like the recent ones because there's just fucking too many. The fact that this has a movie is insane to me, and they have some you know pretty notable actors. Obviously, one of them being one of the Hunger Game actors, PETA, I think.
PETA.
Was it? his name in the film, and then
I don't know his name. It's Peter.
and then I think one of the other actors is from the Netflix series You. I forget her name, Elizabeth Laley. I think I looked it up earlier, but yeah, this teaser trailer. I mean, it looks like FNAF if you were to make a movie. Honestly, I think that this is like a pretty faithful adaptation to it. Obviously, as a non-FNAF fan and as a person who has only really know about it from the game theory videos and shit like that, I think that this is pretty cool. I mean, I think a lot of the comments bring up like the same sentiment where it's like this was like an indie game and like now it's like this multi-million-dollar thing because for some reason kids like it. It's weird.
Yeah, kids fucking love it, dude. I don't really know why. Like, I feel like we were just old enough to not really get that obsessed with it. Like, I was also like you, where I saw the first game. I saw playthroughs of the first game. I saw some of the game theories, and like that's it. And then they made like a bajillion more sequels, and I just didn't really care. But I mean, it still looks cool. Like, I feel like as a movie, it might like maybe be more interesting to me, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. Like, I think like the sets and like the animatronics like pretty spot on to like the game, so that's really cool. Like, the biggest thing people were complaining about, like the eyes are red. I'm like, wow, all right, we had to deal with ugly Sonic for like a year, so shut up. So yeah, I think it looks pretty faithful and looks like they really are like have a lot of love for the source material, which is always what you want when you're making like any type of adaptation, not just a video game one. So yeah, I'm happy for all the fans of FNAF, getting their like big movie moment, I guess. And, for non-fans like us, hopefully it's like, a good movie or at least like a schlocky like horror movie. Because I think that's kind of what it kind of has to be. So yeah. I actually don't know if it's rated R or not. I feel like
that's what I'm trying to look up. I'm like, what is this movie going to be rated?
Because I feel like if they want to make money, it has to be PG-13.
Yes, so. if they want kids to go see it with their parents, it's got to be PG-13. Because if it's R, it's like it's not going to make.
It'll be funny though. It should be R.
Imagine they just go over the fucking top with like the animatronic dust.
Just
and
fucking
shit.
like beat someone's head in and like slice them up. Like, might as well.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, hopefully it's PG-13 because that would be the wise decision of them to do.
Yeah, just because again, the fan base is mostly like teenagers
at this point. Yeah,
yeah. So it would make most sense if it was like PG-13, but I guess we'll see right there. All right, so Nintendo's being Nintendo. We got a new 3DS firmware update, making it harder to hack the console. So, Nintendo already shut down the eShop earlier. I think it was this month, right? Or last month? No, March. It was like March. I don't know. I can't remember.
It was earlier this year.
They shut down the eShop. Yeah. They shut down the 3DS and Wii U eShop. And, people were sad. But, everyone was just saying, hey, hack your 3DS. Because you basically access like all of the eShop things, not legally, but you could do it. And Nintendo was like, no, you can't do that. Even though we're stopped supporting the system, we're going to literally bring a new update just to make it more harder for you to do that. Luckily, people are already like found ways around this, so it's not like too bad. But it still just feels so petty for Nintendo to do that. I'm like, you're already like not supporting the console anymore. You're not getting money from this console anymore, and you're still making an update to make it harder for people to like hack the console. Like, just let it go, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get it. From their perspective, they're like, this is illegal shenanigans. This shouldn't happen. And it's like, okay, yeah, but like at the same time, is there a legal way for them to get the games? I'm not trying to endorse it by any means. I'm not trying to get a lawsuit on my ass. But
true.
It's like,
if there's no legal way to get a game anymore, I think it's like free reign. You can do whatever. So that's how I feel. I will always buy officially, but if there's no way to get it, I'm gonna be looking up ROMs and shit.
Yeah, like it's not illegal for you to like hack your 3DS, but to use it to download games, that's where the illegal part comes from. Because people have like jailbroken like their iPods and whatever in the past, but when you start doing illegal stuff, that's when it starts getting a little fishy. But for Nintendo to do all this, to release a brand new firmware update to see that it's supposed to improve the overall system stability and a bunch of mumbo jumbo is just so funny, because obviously like these homebrew hackers and everything like that, like they are resilient. They don't give a fuck. They will find a way to hack your shit and try to play these games because they love video games, because they want to play these games that are no longer available to purchase. And obviously, like, I'm sure that the eShop sales have not been the greatest over the past few years, but that's just because the 3DS and Wii U, those are the previous generation. Not a lot of people have those or are actively playing them today, so obviously those shops are not going to be as active. So I understand why they shut it down, but for them to release this update and be like, all right, well, now we're going to make it harder and sort of have you redo all of your hacking stuff for like the next like month or so, just because why not? It's like so petty, so petty.
Yeah, it just feels very petty. Like they didn't really do that. They didn't do that with the Wii. Like with the Wii, they did the same thing when it shut down the shops and stuff. But they didn't make it like, oh, we're gonna make it harder to get the homebrew channel or something. Like nah, like what? Like just let it be. Like we're already done with that. Just just let the 3DS like die and let the community basically take over for it. So it just seems very petty. I mean, Nintendo's always been like this. Like we love their games, but the business side of them could be really annoying to deal with. So just let them have this. If I ever want to hack my 3DS, just I probably won't because I don't want to like ruin it or whatever. But still, let it be.
Personally, I would never do this unless there was like a game that I really, really, really wanted to play. But even then, I'm like, I'll just watch gameplay videos on it. I'm not gonna go through all the hassle of like trying to like mod my 3DS. Even if they say it's easy, I'm not gonna do it because if I fuck it up, I fuck it up.
Yeah, and I mean I had a bunch of 3DSs, but I kept trading them for the newest one. Like,
yeah,
I have
same.
the new 2DS XL now, and that's the one I'm gonna have forever, I guess.
Yeah. Same here. I don't plan on upgrading or switching.
Yeah, like once I have my DSi, like I don't know where my DS Lite went. I don't think I have my old DS Lite. I have my DSi though, but yeah.
All right, so next we got an update on Netflix's password sharing. So they released like a blog post on it, but we're gonna look at this fastcompany.com article on it. So pretty much, they are limiting it to the household. So obviously, what does that exactly mean? People within your immediate home, that's the people that can share your Netflix account. If there's someone across the seas or whatever, aka if they detect a second IP address, that's when you're going to have to add a member, which is only $8 a month extra. But even then, you're paying extra, which is stupid. So, yeah, I guess this is how they're going to crack down on the whole password sharing thing, which I think is very funny because I feel like the reason why Netflix's subscriptions have been declining hasn't been because of password sharing. It's just because of the content overall.
Yeah.
Like obviously you have all of these other big hitters coming out with their new streaming services like HBO Max. They just rebranded to Max and they added some new stuff on there. And then you have obviously Disney Plus, which is fucking huge. And then you have also people just in general getting into like other shows like anime and whatnot. People are subscribing to Crunchyroll because they want to watch anime. And Netflix has anime, but they don't have a large selection of it, which isn't necessarily their fault. But then again, Netflix's sort of original series haven't been all there. The last one I watched was Beef, and before that, I don't even know. Beef is fucking amazing. Okay. But then again,
I've been hearing about that. Yeah.
Then again, it's like a lot of their original shows or like their documentaries or their sort of reality shows. Like that's really what like Netflix has become, in my opinion, within like the new day and age of like their service is like. They come out with a new documentary that's like very interesting, or they have another trashy reality love show or whatever, like Love is Blind. I love Love is Blind, but then again, it's like I know what I'm watching. I know this shit's gonna be trash.
Right. Yeah, like I only stay subscribed when it's like, oh, like here's Stranger Things, then I'm like, okay, I'm out afterward. And they do their best to have retention where it's like, okay, we're going to split this shit into 2 seasons. So you got to pay like maybe for an extra month or something. So like I did really try their hardest. But I just like whatever. After I finish watching a thing I want to watch, usually I just let the subscription die and just like restart later. And yeah, I mean, it's not like they're devoid of good content, obviously. Like, you got things like Arcane and like, Stranger Things, the Cyberpunk anime. Like, there's some good stuff on there sometimes. But I just don't really see a need to have it constantly running,
Yeah, especially since because a lot of like the big shows that Netflix was like synonymous for left the service. Like,
yeah,
I know The Office isn't there anymore because of Peacock. I don't know if Friends is still on here. I know that was like a huge thing with Friends about to leave. I don't see Friends on here. So maybe it's not on the service anymore. But, a lot of those like big shows that people would binge watch over and over again for whatever reason because they loved it that much, they're not there anymore. So that's another reason why people are unsubscribing. But then again, like I said, new content is sort of just lacking on the platform as a whole.
Yeah. and it's kind of been that way for like a while. It's been such a meme where it's like, oh, Netflix thing, it's gonna suck, and yeah, most of the time it kind of does. So yeah, it just like really just shows that Netflix just wastes a lot of money on these projects that really should just be canned like from the start, instead of just kept making them, and then just keep losing more and more money because no one really cares about this content because it sucks. And I don't know, they're just not really doing anything about it. Like I feel like a lot of the other streaming services are providing really good original programs and stuff. I think Disney Plus has been pretty okay at it. Obviously, HBO is always going to be HBO, so they're good with it. But Netflix has always had like maybe like spotty, like just so many spotty things. Was like, okay, we got some good stuff now, but then we don't for like a year, and then it's like come back later. So yeah, I don't know. I think Netflix really has to get back on it with their original programming because they were good during the like early or late 2010s, right? Like when they had like Stranger Things and like Orange is the New Black and like a bunch of other shit that people really liked, and then they either fell off or they just like obviously just stopped or whatever. Like Stranger Things is like the only one of that era that's still like going, and even that's gonna end soon. So yeah, Netflix really has to step up their shit with their original programming because it's pretty bad. Mostly when they keep losing older shit too. So yeah.
I will say this. I'm looking at their top 10 movies in the US right now. One of them is missing. That is number one. That is a fantastic fucking movie, which I recommend everyone to go watch. But also a newer movie is A Man Called Otto. This is the one with Tom Hanks in it, and he's just a guy of some, I guess, like a coming of age comedy movie. I haven't watched it, but that is a newer movie that I recognize that is on Netflix, and that is crazy. So obviously like they're trying to pull people in some ways, maybe are working, maybe they aren't working, who knows. But yeah, definitely like their original programming, original series should definitely, be like a top priority.
Because I feel like that's how you get people to keep coming back, week after week, so.
Even when you bring in like like older stuff, because I know that like it was a huge deal when like the Raimi Spider-Man movies were on there or whatever. So
yeah, like people will come back just for like older stuff as well. So yeah, Netflix kind of just it's funny, they were the first to the streaming like wars, I guess, but now they're basically at the bottom just because they kept losing rights to everything and like their programming sucks. So yeah, kind of sucks for them. All right, so I guess we could talk about the PlayStation Showcase. It was a showcase.
Yeah.
So they advertised this as sort of like the next phase for the PS5. So expectations were pretty high. My only expectation was I want to see Spider-Man. Then that was it, and that felt pretty assured. I'm like, okay, I know we're gonna get Spider-Man, and that's all really I care about. Because a lot of the Sony stuff usually aren't very good. Like I think we've always been on record, like State of Plays has always been like really mid. Showcases have like, showcases could be good. Like the PS5 one was good when they showed that, but that's obviously like a whole new console and shit. So they had to kind of be like a good conference for that. So yeah, I if you were telling me if I had to put more expectations on this, I definitely would have said I would have liked to see a lot more first party stuff. And we kind of did from the newer stuff, but it's not really like
it's not anything that's like wowing us in particular.
Yeah, mostly because there are a lot of CG trailers, and a lot of these games seems to be leaning towards the live service thing because Sony said they wanted to move in that direction, which is like kind of concerning. So, I guess in terms of actual exciting announcements that got announced, the Metal Gear Delta Snake Eater, this is sort of like the big surprise of the show. Basically Konami is remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. They're saying it's gonna be a very faithful remake and stuff, so it's not gonna be like too different. It's just gonna look pretty and shit. So that's cool. They're also gonna be releasing the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. So this was basically stuck on PS3 for a very long time. This is basically all the old games coming back as a collection. So that's really cool as well. I have never played Metal Gear, so I'm very excited to like sort of like finally play this series. But yeah, I don't know how well this remake is going to do in general, just because, Kojima isn't in Konami anymore. So I'm wondering how this series is going to do without his guidance, and how Metal Gear would be without like just his vision as, a creator, because he like made it. So, it's going to be interesting to see how Konami sort of like pulls this one out. Hopefully they can have a big redemption story with this and the Silent Hill 2 remake, but I guess we'll see. Because, again, Konami's been kind of in the shitter for a very long time, just making pachinko machines. So, I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think in the moment, a lot of people forgot about, like, the whole Kojima thing and, him leaving Konami and that sort of relationship sort of just being destroyed 100%. So I think that them trying to remake Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is a good idea, because a lot of people recognize that as like one of the best games within the series, but also just one of the best games of all time, which is a crazy statement for people to say, but that's what people say. People really love that game, and the fact that they're remaking it is going to be pretty cool. I think that is a good step in the right direction, and for them to also have like this master collection with all 3 of the Metal Gear Solid games, along with some other ones that they're sort of teasing, is pretty cool, because I'm looking at the collections on the PlayStation 3, and yeah, I mean, like the whole Legacy collection is $100 now, which that wasn't like that a few years ago. Last time I checked, it wasn't like that. So if they can make it more affordable and more accessible for the current generation of consoles, by all be it, maybe I'll check them out, because I have tried Metal Gear Solid 1 when I was younger, but obviously I was younger and I fucking hated those like tank controls and I didn't really appreciate them. But, you know, obviously with a much more, I guess, educated mind on like how games were made back then and shit like that, maybe I can appreciate it a little bit more. I know that people really want Twin Snakes, which is like the GameCube game that was remade.
The GameCube one.
They want that, because I was looking at the prices for that, bro. That's like a $200 game. I was like, no fucking way I'm paying that shit. GameCube games in general are just a lot more expensive these days, but
very expensive.
Yeah, especially that one, because that was a remake of the first Metal Gear Solid, and it's really, really good. So what happens with this one, hopefully it's good. I mean, obviously with Kojima not involved, I wonder how it's all going to play out, because obviously that is his fucking baby. That is his creation, and he's not going to be there. So hopefully it plays out well. That's all I can really say. You know, I don't want it to be bad, because obviously this is a game that a lot of people love, and I would hate for it to get a really dog shit remaster.
Yeah, plus it's been so long since when did Metal Gear Solid 5 came out? Hold on.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5. I want to say it came out at least 10 years
2015?
ago. 2015? Yeah.
Holy shit.
It came out close to 10 years. See, like I was close.
God, yeah. I did not know it was that long. So yeah, it's been a very long time since Metal Gear fans had like anything. So this is nice to at least have. But like you said, you know, Kojima isn't here. You know, Konami's kind of shit. So I guess we'll see if they could do this redemption arc. I mean, I'm going to give them the benefit of a doubt. You know, I think Konami could probably pull something out, because they got good IPs. It's just like, you know, they just, all the people that made these games kind of left, and they were just focused so much on money. So hopefully things have changed in that company. Hopefully things could be okay, because, you know, I like to see like a new like Castlevania, Metal Gear, obviously Silent Hill is coming as well. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, definitely the big surprise of the show, even though this was kind of leaked like there was a lot of rumblings. Yeah, there was a lot of rumblings about Snake Eater being remade or something. So, but yeah, still the big surprise of the show.
Another one, which was a little less surprising, Alan Wake 2 was shown off, and it had a pretty cool trailer. I think some people were watching it and they were like, what the fuck am I watching? And then it sort of started to look more like Alan Wake, so that was pretty cool. But I think the big thing about this game's announcement is the fact that it won't be available physically, which I think is like the first time for like a big AAA game to do so. And I think a lot of it is because of Epic Games funding behind it. So the reason why they are doing a digital only release, according to the FAQ, you know, they're seeing that the landscape of gaming, you know, people have their digital only consoles, and, you know, some people are shifting to digital only for their games. And also it's a way for them to keep the price down for $60 on console and actually $50 on PC. So, you know, for them to not ship a disc product, it also requires the player to download still. Like, even though I buy my physical games, I still have to download shit, which is annoying. But at the same time, really I'm like, I kind of want the disc for me personally. So
that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, like, this is going to be a big thing. I'm not sure how well it's going to do, because I know I saw a headline for a opinion piece where it was like a lot of like the recent games that came out this year, like at least half of the sales were physical. So it's like, how will this game do going digital only? Because this is Alan Wake 2 we're talking about here. You know, this isn't like Resident Evil 4 remake or, you know, any other like big major sort of title. This is Alan Wake. I'm not going to say it's an indie game title, but it's definitely not with those, you know, bigger header titles that could possibly get away with a digital only release.
Yeah, I mean, I'm suspecting it's because Alan Wake is not a very popular IP to begin with. Like, obviously it's like good and stuff. Like, you know, I still need to finish Alan Wake 1. Like, people really like the series or, you know, the game that came out. Yeah. But, you know, when they apparently they did the remaster like pretty recently for the first Alan Wake, and it sold like dog shit. So they were like, okay, like I think this is coming for more of a like they don't have a lot of faith in the game selling well enough, and they don't want to have a shit ton of copies just like in a warehouse. So it's like, okay, let's just put it digitally and like whatever. Like, they obviously still want to do it, but it just feels like they don't have a lot of faith that it's gonna sell well. And I think Remedy's always been kind of weird with that. Like, you know, most of the games don't sell very well. Like Control, I think, was the only one that actually sold well. But like Alan Wake 1, Quantum Break, like those didn't do very well. So maybe this is just a way to keep like the set cost down. Like they just don't want to have a shit ton of like physical copies just like somewhere in a basement. Also makes it so they don't have to discount it as heavy as well. Like, you know, if they have a shit ton of physical copies, like, okay, we have to discount it because we gotta get rid of this shit. If it's all physical, if it's all digital, you could just like wait longer to make it like, you know, price cuts and shit. So yeah, again, the whole physical like digital debate is always like, you know, one that everyone always has. I feel like I feel like physicals is like kind of a losing battle at this point. Like I feel like even myself, I only really buy physical for Nintendo games. Like everything else I just get digital, mostly because as soon as I put Miles Morales on my PS5 and it downloaded the fucking game, like what's the point of this shit? So I just started buying them digitally fully. But like I get it, like all the arguments against digital are definitely fair, and definitely, you know, physical is probably always going to be better just because you own it. But it still feels like a losing battle because people just want a convenience. People want to preload. People just want to play the game and like not worry about anything else. So like I get it. But yeah, I kind of get the reasoning, but it's still pretty disappointing for people that wanted this physical, just like own the game, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely like a change of times in a way because like nowadays, like convenience is everything. Like people want shit right when they buy it kind of thing. So the fact that you can also now preload games, which is like pretty huge, which I might do for Spider-Man 2, who the fuck knows? You know, it's like, okay, so I could preload the game, and then once midnight hits, it's like, okay, yeah, now I can play it. Like that is such like a huge plus side of getting it digitally, which I understand. But at the same time, you know, you don't own the game, you can't take advantage of like physical sales and like retail stores and things like that. So, you know, there are some disadvantages, but at the same time, you know, when you buy like the Xbox Series S or X or whatever, that's like the digital version along with the PS5 version, it's $100 off. So like you are saving that money initially, but like in the long run, I wonder how much money you could have actually saved if you like, you know, shopped smart enough and like looked for sales, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, it's understandable. Like I said, you know, I agree with you that Alan Wake is not necessarily like a big title. So for them to, you know, go into this cautiously and be like, all right, we're not going to have a physical version because if we do, we're going to have to, you know, like shelve it pretty quick if it doesn't sell well.
Yeah.
So I think for them to just have it on digital markets and have the console version be $10 more because of Epic sort of like funding and them being like, all right, well, if you have it on our store, we'll also have it $10 cheaper and we're also funding the game. So, you know, you're going to have to put it on there anyway. So, yeah, you know, hopefully the game actually does well because I know that, in my opinion, if the game does well enough, they will consider a physical release 100% because it's like, okay, well, now some people want to own the game or like they want to buy it for a friend or whatever, you know, because they're not familiar with the whole digital marketplace or whatever. So I think that depending on the game's success, we will see a physical release. But I think that for now, for them to be like, we also don't want to charge $70 for it, which is like understandable because, you know, $70 is like, it's only $10 more than 60, but it does like a little more scarier these days, even though we're like a year or two into the, you know, current generation of consoles. It's like $70 price tag. That's still like pretty steep for a lot of people, including myself.
Every time I do my calculations for like whatever games I'm gonna buy, I'm like, oh fuck, right, it's 70, and then it does hurt.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like that $70 price point is always gonna be like such a big stain on games because people want games to be bigger, but not every game has to be a ginormous like open world 100-hour game. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of people are gonna be even more like pushed into making games like way more bloated than they ever were. Like Zelda, I think is like worth 70 just because there's like a shit ton of things in that game. But you know, if you want to play like a platformer like Ratchet, right? Like people didn't think that game was worth 70. It probably wasn't because it's like you know, a 10-hour 3D platformer. But, you know, I don't know. It kind of just brings that, like, where do we draw the line in terms of content with money ratio? Because that's how a lot of people sort of view games now. And it kind of sucks because then we don't get our like 10-hour games anymore that people like,
Yeah.
because there's so much money. So obviously I don't mind long games, obviously, because I play Persona and fucking Xenoblade, which are like 100 hours. But I also like my short games. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a whole deal that I don't know. We got all of this with just Alan Wake. Sorry, Alan Wake. But I guess we'll see how the landscape goes. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me to start seeing more games do this, like just abandon physical completely.
I think that this can set like a precedent within the industry. Like if this game actually does well enough on digital marketplaces where it's like, oh, like it actually like broke even or actually exceeded however much it costs to make it, then I think more studios will possibly consider releasing it digitally maybe like a week early and then have the physical release come out the week after. Because like that can be a dangerous thing as well, where it's like, all right, well, you can wait a week, or you could just pay the $70 right now and you can play it instantly on your PlayStation 5. It's like, that's a dangerous thing to consider. Like, if they fucking did that with Spider-Man 2, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
It's definitely gonna be a weird precedent because a lot of people thought the $70 thing wouldn't catch on, and it did. So this could definitely set a no physical release precedent for like a lot of games that are maybe more niche or like publishers think won't do as well. And I just put on digital stores because it probably won't do as well. So
it's like the direct to DVD equivalent of a movie.
Basically, where you just don't have a lot of confidence that will really sell well.
Yeah, I mean, like indie games have been doing it for years with the whole digital marketplace, but for like a AAA game to do this, that is a little crazy. So
yeah, I guess we'll see how the future holds for that shit.
Yeah. And that game is coming out October 17th, to those wondering.
Yeah, it's a good spooky season.
Before we dive into the Marvel Spider-Man 2 spiel, the DualSense streaming controller and the earbuds were revealed as like new PlayStation 5 accessories. I think the streaming controller is kind of interesting because, once again, it's still just like you can only play it within your household, and it's not like an actual... Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much a Wii U within 2023. But you can play PlayStation 5 games on there, so I think that has its audience. I'm not exactly sure how well it's gonna do. What is the price point on that fucking thing? I don't even know.
I don't know. It has to be. It's gonna be expensive.
Yeah.
Because of course it would be. I just think I think it's really useless. Like I never use the gamepad at all for that purpose, and it's not like the Switch where you can like take it anywhere. Like you have to be like, I guess, in proximity of your PlayStation, I guess. So it really is just a Wii U gamepad, and I'm just like, well, whatever. I don't know who's really targeted for it. I guess people that want to play their PlayStation games in bed, and that's about the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty dumb, but it's like whatever. Some people are treating this like it's the fucking PS6, where it's like, oh, this is like what Sony's gonna do next. Like it's not. It's just like a dumb peripheral they're doing. So I'm not really that worried about it. But yeah, it's still kind of a dumb idea, and I'm like, I just don't know really who's made for it.
I can't wait to see people rocking the PlayStation earbuds at the gym.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
I think that's like it's an interesting peripheral because like not headsets aren't for everyone. Like I understand that sometimes I like playing with earbuds, but I never do because it's like earbuds are kind of a anomaly these days in my opinion.
Right.
Because of the headphone jack being taken away and shit like that. So having wireless earbuds for your PS5, I think that could be kind of interesting. I think it would be very funny to see someone play with those, because it's like you don't necessarily associate earbuds with gaming, in my opinion.
Right.
Obviously, some people do use them within competition and stuff like that. But I think that the fact that Sony is releasing their own earbuds, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like I like the peripherals are pretty okay for the PS5. Like I really like the Elite controller. That feels fucking nice. And like I guess the earbuds would be a nice addition to it. But the streaming controller probably isn't it. I'm just gonna say that one.
All right.
So I guess we can get to the actual big thing. As you can see, there wasn't like a lot. I mean, all right. I guess real quick, like there was like a lot of cool games, but again, we've seen most of these already. There was some surprises, like the Metal Gear thing, and some cool looking indie games. But for the most part, it was pretty like whatever. Like there wasn't a lot of like things I wanted to see personally. Like again, I want to at least see like Last of Us Factions, right? Because I feel like that's been like in the burner for a while, and I feel like Naughty Dog is still working on that shit. So I felt like that probably would have been nice to see. But basically we got the thing we were waiting for anyway, which is Spider-Man 2. This is kind of the thing we just, this is what we wait for. And we got a little worried at the end.
Oh my God.
So they kind of did like a little fake out where it's like, oh, like they're in the jungle. But we're like, nah, it's Kraven.
I was huffing that copium, bro. I was like, nah, this is fucking Kraven right here. I'm going to see Kraven in 3 seconds, which is what happened. I was like, all right, we're seeing Kraven. And he's like, I'm looking for a new hunt. And I was like, that's fucking Kraven right there. So... Yeah, I mean, like, they gave us pretty much like 15 minutes of like Spider-Man 2 stuff, which I think is a lot more than anyone really expected. I think that a 5-minute trailer would have been fine, but the fact that they gave us pure 10 minutes of gameplay is fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so first, I guess before that, Sony said, there's no co-op. Mm-hmm. So like, stop asking for it.
Yes, so, that is great.
So a lot of people were like, either wanted or were worried that it was going to be co-op and that you would like one person would play as like Peter and person would play as Miles, but that's not the case. It's a fully single player game. So yeah, we're not dealing with any of that. No Gotham Knights. We ain't dealing with that. So that's good to hear. Because I wouldn't be opposed to like a co-op Spider-Man game. I just don't think it will fit for this, so that's okay. Mm-hmm. You can make a new IP for that or something, but yeah, don't touch this series with that.
Yeah, I think that for it to be a Spider-Man 2, you just keep a single player. I think that people having this idea of like both Spider-Man swinging around at the same time, like that's gonna be a lot of work, and like I don't know if that's necessarily gonna run at like 60 frames with like ray tracing and everything like that simultaneously online, so yeah, I'm glad it's single player and we could just switch between both Spider-Man instantly wherever they are within the city. So yeah, but they came out swinging with this gameplay trailer. They straight up showed off the fucking black suit, which was like insane to me, because I'm like, I thought that they were gonna like hide that for like maybe a little bit longer, but obviously it's been a while since they've announced the game and they haven't really shown much. So they're like, "I fucking black suit." I'm like, okay, yeah, like this is great. Like Yuri, his performance as like the black suit Spider-Man, his voice is like so good. Like obviously like he was Sasuke before, so like he's just channeling that shit now, and I'm like, like this is great. I love it.
Yeah, it goes edgy black suit mode, which is cool. I mean, I always like that because it's just like it's just funny. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in terms of like the black suit, like I think it looks really cool. And the gameplay looks really sick. It really reminds me of like Ultimate Spider-Man with all the tentacles and shit. Like just being able to do all that. Like I think that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And you feel powerful. Like you like could like kill 4 goons at once with like the with your tentacle shit. And like that looks awesome. So I think that's a good way to make Miles and Peter really different, because Miles still has his stuff, his Venom powers and the camouflage, and Peter is gonna have the black suit now, which is cool. And I guess both have access to gadgets, I guess, so that would be cool as well. But again, I was saying this like when they first revealed this, I'm like, they're gonna have to give him the black suit to make him different from Miles, and that's kind of what they're doing. So I think that's really cool. It looks sick.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that they're just going all in with the black suit and just sort of giving him like a lot more aggressive and just making the story also surrounding that as well, I think is going to be really, really dope. When you watch him in this gameplay presentation, obviously he's, like I said, a lot more aggressive, but also within that one scene where he just like tosses that civilian, I was like, that was great.
A guy. Yeah.
That was fucking great. I was like, yes, keep the subtleties where it's like, all right, yeah, he's still saving people, but he's not like really caring about it in a way,
He's just doing it because it's his job.
Yeah.
He has no passion in his job anymore. But I love it. It's really cool that they also showed the switch mechanic. So I guess like mid missions you could just switch to another Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So 1 minute you're playing as Peter, then you could switch into Miles, which is really cool, and then you have another sort of gameplay segment there. It looks like the stealth looks about the same. Like it looks like you have some new gadgets and abilities and stuff. The combat also looks like you have a lot more flashy moves now, which is really cool. And Miles does like a fucking like Kamehameha on some dude, so that was really cool. So yeah, I'm really happy to start keeping Miles' gameplay to be like how it was, and obviously Miles Morales, because I thought his abilities were super cool and I really enjoyed using them. And it looks like he's gonna be just as fun to use, if not more fun in this game, since it looks like he has a lot more control of his abilities now. Obviously in terms of story and stuff, we got Kraven. Kraven is here now. Obviously from the beginning, and a Lizard is here too, apparently.
Yes.
So, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. So we got the symbiote, which will lead to Venom, Kraven, and the Lizard. So that seems to be a really cool set of characters there, and probably we'll get more supervillains because when Craven was seeing New York, they showed a bunch of people. We saw Shocker again. I think Prowler was in there too or something.
I think Black Cat was in there as well.
Black Cat was there.
There's a bunch of spider people.
Yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of villains and stuff, which is cool, and just like other people as well. And yeah, it just looks great. I mean, they showed the whole set piece and stuff. You chasing Lizard and then Craven hunting you guys. It just looked like a ton of fun. It kind of reminded me of the sort of E3 trailer they showed about Spider-Man 1, where it was during the whole helicopter thing with Mr. Negative. Had a lot of really similar aspects to it, where it shows, a bunch of combat, some stealth, and then like the big set piece moments and stuff. And I think it sold the game, just as well as that E3 trailer did back then. It showed all the things the game was, going to be about, show all the spectacle, the combat. I just think it was a great showcase of the game. And yeah, I think the game looks great as well,
Yeah, I think that what they could have done with this trailer was the fact that people have played the game now. People have played both of the games prior, so now they can show that, like, what makes this one different. And yeah, I mean, it looks really fucking good. Obviously, I love the new sort of web wings or whatever they got going on here. Oh
yes, the glider thing.
Yes,
yeah,
the whole glider thing. I think that traversing through New York is going to be a lot more fun and a lot more fast now, which is great because it's like, within the previous games, it was like, all right, it was already fast and fun as is. So the fact that you can even make it faster, because I think if I rewind here, the objective point was like 1,000 meters away, and then he's there within like 10 seconds. And I'm like, that is insane. Like, that is crazy, the fact that he got there that fast. I'm not exactly sure how fast it was within the previous games, but it's like that's crazy. And that's just because of like the power of like the PlayStation 5 SSD and everything, because we saw it within the Miles Morales game where you were just fast traveling like instantly into new sections of the map, and like you would just load into the game instantly. And that is obviously shown here now that you are switching between Miles Morales and Peter Parker as fast as you can. So
yeah, it seems like Sonic is like big masters with the SSD now, because obviously Rift Apart was like insane with its SSD technologies. So this game looks like it's gonna be utilizing that really well with the quick switching between Miles and Peter as well. So definitely looking forward to see how they use the PS5, because I really feel like they're like really the only Sony first party studio that's really utilizing the PS5 to its fullest, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not really fair, because I know Santa Monica and Guerrilla Games, they both released, Horizon and God of War, but they were both for PS4 and PS5. So I think Sony has really been the one really caring, like, look how cool the PS5 can be. So and I think that's really cool. The goats as they are, they're just showing off everything they could. I'm not biased or anything, I swear. But yeah, honestly, everything that's shown in these gameplay trailers is everything I wanted. I'm just really excited to see how the story continues. I'm excited to see all the new powers. I'm really hoping the open world is more, like, there's more activities to do that aren't like, just the generic open world stuff, because I felt like that was the weakest part of the 2018 game, where it's like, save the pigeons. Obviously, that's a big meme. But, the pigeon stuff. And, hopefully the activities are a little more fun to do, because they got traversal obviously down. Like, it's so fun to explore New York, just swinging around and stuff. But hopefully the things you do in New York feel a bit more lively and stuff. So hopefully Sony I could fix that up, because, I know that game was like the first open world game they've ever really done. Well, actually, I think Sunset Overdrive was, but whatever. That game is still good. But yeah, hopefully with this game they could sort of like refine those open world elements, and I think we're gonna have a banger of a game, because obviously there's more New York to explore as well. We got more of the boroughs and stuff to explore. Yeah. And I hate how some people are saying, "Oh, this game looks too much of the same." I'm like, what are they gonna do? Make New York too? like you can't. I mean, you can make them in Paris. You want to do No Way Home or fucking Far From Home or whatever?
Yeah,
like, come on, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, people are doing the same thing, like when God of War Ragnarok was being shown
up.
It's
Tears
like
of the Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it looks more of the same. It's like, what do you want? It's a sequel. It looks prettier, though. Like, they're actually...
It does.
I think now maybe we're actually going to have a mode where it's 60 FPS along with ray tracing, because that's what they have within the Miles Morales game. So that mode that's like in between will probably be there, which is going to be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, like, overall, like, I just cannot wait to see what story this game is going to offer, I should say, just because we don't really have like a mainstream Spider-Man story where like Peter Parker and Miles are here, and at the same time the symbiote is like involved with it. So I think that, I saw a tweet that showed that like, hey, like Miles' story within Spider-Man 2 is going to excuse me, is going to be parallel to what Peter went through within Spider-Man 1 with like Doc Ock and everything sort of being his mentor, and then he's falling from grace in a way. Within this game, it's now with the symbiote, and it's with Peter Parker, who pretty much showed him everything. And it's like, this is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to see how they actually execute it. A lot of theories are going around as to like who Venom is and whether or not it's Harry, or some people are thinking that it's going to be Peter and they're going to pull from like the Ultimate Comics. I mean, like either way, like this is going to be a banger of a story, because I feel like Insomniac Games knows this character and they love Spider-Man, both of them, so much that they want to tell this story that fulfills, you know, both of them in a way that this story is going to be one of the best Spider-Man stories out there.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And like, dude, the Spider-Man fans be eating good. You know, we got No Way Home, we got Spider-Verse 2, we got Spider-Man 2
coming out next week.
Yeah, so we've been eating good. You know, there's been a lot of great Spider-Man content. You know, we suffered a lot. You know, from Spider-Man 3 to like Amazing Spider-Man 2, like it was like awful times. But now we're living it, so it feels good.
It is. It's going to be fun. I cannot wait to see how Insomniac Games executes on everything. Like literally everything about this game, from the story, the gameplay, the presentation, all of it. Because I feel like that they really love this character, Spider-Man, both of them. And they really know what they're doing with this game and how they're going to elevate it even more. Obviously, expanding the city is a no fucking brainer. But also being able to switch between both of them, along with introducing the symbiote and then the story elements. It's just so much that it's going to be my game of the year. I already know. And if it isn't, I'm going to be so sad. I'm going to be so sad.
I would love to replay the first, like, you know, Spider-Man 1 and Miles, but you know, just too many games right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be up there for game of the year for me. Again, right now I think Tears of the Kingdom kind of it's just I mean, it's Zelda, so yeah, I feel like it kind of wins by default. But I'm very excited for Spider-Man 2. You know, I think it's doing a lot of cool things. I just want to see the story continue. Honestly, I just really like the way Insomniac wrote, you know, all the characters and stuff. You know, I'm really invested into it. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to see how this continues, and you know what's gonna happen if there is a third game. Like, is it just gonna be Miles at some point? Is like Peter just gonna be Venom throughout the series? That would be really cool. So yeah, I guess we'll see how everything turns out. And again, like you said, hopefully the game is, you know, it does deliver on everything it does. Because if it's not like a game of the year contender, that would be really sad. So,
yeah, I mean, like my theory for the longest time is that like Peter's gonna die in this game, which I hope doesn't happen. But like, you know, every single most incarnations of Miles Morales, he exists by himself, because you want to focus on that Spider-Man. You don't want, you know, Peter Parker Spider-Man to really interfere with them. So you know, that's how he was introduced into Ultimate Fallout number 4. That was his first appearance within comic books, was, you know, he was coming in as Spider-Man after Peter Parker's death. So is that going to happen in this game? Who knows? Are we going to have another sort of tearjerker moment just like at the end of the first game? We'll have to wait and see. I just cannot wait to see what else they have to show for this game, because they said more is on the way. Obviously, like pre-order stuff and like collector's editions. I hope I can get my hands on that, because now everyone wants to fucking play this game now. So
yeah, everyone's like, gotta buy PS5 now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that is all I really have to say without gushing any further. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Damian?
No, that's everything.
All right. So thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast. Once again, we will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
Later.